Okay, Salesforce development day 32. Let's see what we are going to learn today. We'll go through the previous session overview. And then we'll talk about the update statements in DML. And UPSERT statement. What is the UPSERT statement? How can we do the UPSERT statement? And also we will see the merge statement. And then we'll talk about the DML drawbacks. What are the drawbacks of the DML? And we'll see the database class. In the database class, we have a insert method, save result, error method, and syntax for other syntaxes, and empty recycle bin, which is a hard delete. So we will talk about these are the things. Before that, what did we learn in last session?
Saucer, SOSL,
SOSL and
differences between SOQL and SOSL.
right. And then in DML statement, we have discussed about the
Insert, delete, undelete.
right. So today we will see about the update statement. So usually for the update statement, let's assume that we have an account object, which is an account table. In account table, ID, name, rating, industry. These are the fields which are available on the account table. There are few more fields are there, but right now I have taken only the few fields. So in this ID, name, rating, there are few records which are like Ram, Gopal, Sibitam, Archana, Shailaja, Akash. So these are the records which are there inside the account object, inside the account object. So let's assume that. So wherever the banking industry is a banking, wherever the industry is a banking, then if I wanted to update the banking, wherever the industry equal to banking, then we want to update the rating to hot. So what should we do on this? If I wanted to update the records that are having the industry equal to banking, we need to update the rating field to hot. So how can we do that? What are the things that we need to do? If I wanted to update, first of all, if I wanted to get the data from the database. So how can I get the data from database?
We have to write a SOQL, select field names from the object where industry is equal to banking.
Right. So for example, if I wanted to get the information of the industry equal to rating, then I need to write the SOQL query. So for this SOQL query, we will be writing a SOQL query, select ID, rating, industry from account where industry equal to banking. That means this is the table. From this table, I'm trying to retrieve the information from the table using the SOQL query. So when I run this query, what will happen? I can see the result. I can see the result of wherever the industry is a banking, then I can get those records. Whether in the Apex or whether you are writing in the SOQL query editor. Right. So once we get the information, assume that I'm writing the program. So when I write the programs, first step is SOQL query. So what are the output is there? The output will I will store it into the list of account list, because these are the more than one record. More than one record. So those records are stored inside the list of account list. So that's the first step. Now, once that is done, the scenario is I need to update the details. I need to update the wherever the rating is there. So this information I need to update. So in order to update that information, what I'll do, the second step is I'll loop through these records, right? Assign the new values wherever the warm is there. I'll assign the values to hot. Before it was warm. Now we are assigning to the hot. How we are assigning it? I'm looping through the each record. Whatever the account list is there, this account list, I'm looping through the each record and then ACC rating equal to hot. Then we are updating the information to the account object. That's the third step. That's the third step. So total 3 steps. Whenever we wanted to update anything used in the Apex, total 3 steps which we have to do it. First step is query the data and store it into the list of the account. Loop through the each one of them. That is the second step. And once it is looped through the each record, which are the value you wanted to update that value, then push back to the account object. So these are the 3 steps which we have to do it. Now in the update statement, by using this statement, we can update either one or more records inside the object. Either you can update single record, either you can update a multiple record using the update statements. So while updating the record, we need to follow 2 steps. So step 1 is get the required records. Whatever we have seen in this, step 1 is get the required records to be get the required records from the table using the SOQL query and store it into the collection. That is the first step, right? So get this and store it into the list of account list. Step 2 is iterate through the each record from the starting to the end, and then we need to assign the values. This is the second step. Now finally we need to update it. Finally, step 3 is update the list of the accounts. Right? So I can either you can update a one record or you can update a multiple records. So now let's go ahead and see one of the scenario here. Let's assume that the use case is write an Apex program to assign the rating as a hot all the banking customers. So the same scenario which we are going to implement. Now let me open the developer console. In this developer console, let's close all this. File, new Apex class. Let's say that DML helper. Do I have already this DML helper? It's already there. So what I'll do is I'll open the existing Apex class, which is called DML helper. Now in this DML helper, we'll write another method which is called as a update. So this is a update. At the rate description, update account records, where industry, where for the banking accounts. Public static void update banking account. Update banking account. Now what we have to do? What is the step 1? What we have to do?
We have to query.
List of. I need to use the account ACC list equal to select ID, name, rating from account. And the condition is where industry equal to banking. Where industry equal to banking. That is a step 1. And here step 2 is I need to look through each record. Let's say that if ACC list is not equal to empty, then I'm going to look for each record. For loop account ACC colon. Let's say here I'm going to use the whatever this list is there. So I'm going to use that list. Right. Then finally I'll update the ACC dot rating equal to hot. Now before that, let me see how many records are there. Execute it. So banking, and let's say here now I can check one more condition is that I do not want to get the hot records. Like let's say here and rating is not equal to hot. Right, so we have a total 8 records. I'm going to get the same. I'll put the and rating is not equal to hot. Only update the one which does not have a value as a hot. Then finally, I need to do the update of whatever this ECC list is there, which we are looping through that. We can update the same list. Click on save. Right. So now what I'll do is let me execute, debug, open, execute anonymous. So DML helper dot, we have a update banking account. Execute the highlighted one. Now let's scroll down. Now it says that here, SQL query 1 out of 100. Rows that are queried is 8 out of 50,000. How many DML statement? 1 DML statement. And CPU timeout is 52. Number of rows impacted is updated or whatever is happened, 8 out of 10,000. Right now, again, if I query this, let's query, execute it. Now everyone is hot, right? Now, all the records are updated. So you can see here last modified date also, comma, last modified date. Click on execute. So it is saying today's date and current time. That's about the update statement. Right, so homework is write an update statement, write an Apex program to deactivate the user based on the specific username. So you have a users list in the user object. So you need to deactivate the user based on the specific user. That means you need to implement a parameterized method. In the parameterized method, while running the Apex method, what you need to do is you need to pass the user details here. Pass the user details and try to update the user. That means active checkbox. Whatever the active field is there, that should be false. And the second one is write an Apex program to assign the annual revenue value for the account based on the industry. That means I have an industry name. I have an annual value. right? So let's say banking equal to 80 lakhs, and then finance equal to 65 lakhs, education equal to 50 lakhs, insurance equal to around 10 lakhs, 1 crore or so, manufacturing equal to 74 lakhs. So these are the records needs to be updated. Take a notes of homework. Done. Now let's move on. So UPSERT statement. UPSERT statement is basically UPSERT is nothing but it's a combination of update and insert. It's a combination of update and insert. So far we have seen the logic for the update, and last class we have seen the logic for insert. If you combine these two, then we call it as a UPSERT. That means in one transaction, we need to update the records as well as we need to insert the record. So by using this statement, we can perform the insert and update operation into the object by using the single DML statements. We can insert the record and update the record in the same object by using the UPSERT statement. So we need to place the records like creating a new records and updating the existing record. If you have this kind of a scenario, so you can go for a UPSERT. So basically it will update the record in single transaction as well as it will insert the record. So the syntax for this UPSERT is you can upsert the single record as well as you can upsert the multiple records. So upsert, whatever the object name is there, you can provide the object name, which is a single object name. If you have a more than one record, that means you will be storing those records into the collection. So if you are storing into the collection, then you can say upsert collection object name. Upsert collection object name. Now use case is upsert statement. So write an Apex program to update the priority as a medium for all the new case records and create a new case records with the high priority. So basically what I need to do, there are two things which we have to do. One is a insert, another one is update. So first thing is that I need to update the priority in the case record. In the case record, wherever the priority is not equal to medium, I need to update the case records priority equal to medium. At the same time, I wanted to create a new case records with the high priority. At the same time, I need to create a new case with a high priority. So let's go ahead and implement this. So which is the same, I need to combine both of them, which is the update and as well as the insert. Now let's see the scenario. Close this. Now here we have it. Description, description. Upsert. Account record. On case object. So I'll be doing two things here, public static void UPSERT case records. UPSERT case records. Now, step one is I'll be doing the update. Whatever the update is there, so we will be doing the update on case. And second one is step two, inserting the new record. Inserting the new records. Now let's say here list of case. Now I'm going to query the data and store the data into the case list equal to. So the one which we need to query here is select ID, status, priority from case where status equal to new. Wherever the status equal to new, what we are going to do is we are going to update the status or priority to the median. Now let's say here, let me query this. If on execute,
What is spelling, ma'am?
now in this status equal to new, now and priority is equal to, priority is not equal to median. Click on execute. So there are 4 records are there, right? So these 4 records priority I'm going to update. So let's say condition check if case list dot size is greater than 0. Then we have a for loop case CS colon case list now we are going to say CS dot priority CS dot priority equal to, let's say we are going to say medium. Then I'm going to update the case list. Update case list. Right, this is first one. And the second one is, what I'm going to do is we are going to create a record. Now for creating a record, what we will do case CS equal to new case. And then I'm going to specify the CS dot status equal to new and CS dot priority equal to, let's say, high. Now we have a few more fields. CS dot type equal to let's check in the case object. Right, so type we have, type is, let's say, electrical, case origin, what are the mandatory fields, let's check. Click on the new record. Case origin is mandatory. Right, so let's say here type equal to electrical. CS dot origin equal to web. And then also I'll give the subject equal to, let's say, Salesforce not able to log in Salesforce. This is the case we are creating it. Then let's say here what we can do in order to insert, I'll say insert CS. This is so far whatever we have seen. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of writing a update and insert, what I'll do is I'll create a one collection list of case to UPSERT. Case to UPSERT, new list of case. Now inside this case UPSERT, what I'll do is, for the update, I'll use the same collection dot add, which is a CS. Similarly, whatever the update we are doing it, whatever the insert we are doing it, I'll update the. So instead of CS, both the names are same. So I'll take the different object name here, CS1 dot add CS1. CS1. Now finally, UPSERT if it is not equal to empty, if it is not equal to empty, UPSERT case to UPSERT. Now click on this save. And instead of writing a update and insert in single transaction, I'm performing the UPSERT. UPSERT is nothing but which is a combination of update and insert. Now let's go ahead and execute the method. Update case record. DML helper dot UPSERT case record. Now let's execute this. Execute the highlighted one. No, we don't have a debug. So right now, here recently viewed 13 items are there. Right, so there should be a new record is created, which is a Salesforce is not working. Not able to log into the Salesforce 137. When it is created today, it is created. And then the record should be updated. There are few records which are having the medium priority. So if I refresh, there should not be any record, right? So this is the new one. Now it might have updated the where is equal to medium and last modified. Click on execute, last modified date. So only today's we are going to focus on, which is a 817. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 records are updated from the different priority to the medium priority. So this is how we will do the UPSERT. Now homework for the UPSERT. Write an Apex program to update the stage. You need to update the stage as a negotiation review for all the opportunities. There is a stage name stage option is called negotiation review. That is one. And the second one is wherever the amount is greater than 1 lakh. So that you need to update the stage equal to negotiation review. And the second one is create a new opportunity record with stage equal to initial discussion, and the amount is 10. Amount is 10. So that's the homework. So take a notes of it, homework for the UPSERT. Let's move on to the next one, which is called as a merge statement. Merge statement is nothing but combining the two records. You have a one record. For the same object, you have a two records. So this is the account. This is the account object. In the account object, you have a record 1, and then you have a record 2. Record 2. There are two records are there. Now what you want to do is, if you want to combine these two records, combine the record 1 and record 2 and create only one record. If you want to perform it, if you want to merge these two records, then we have to go with the merge statement. We have to go with merge statement. So syntax is merge two records. If you want to merge the two records, you need to find out which one is the source record, which one is the target record. So once you know the target record and the source record, you just need to use the merge keyword and place the target record ID and the source record ID. If you have a more than two records, then you need to use the list collection. So whatever your target record is there, whatever your source records are there, you need to push it to from the list to the single record. Now, instead of going with the Apex 2, I have in the configuration part of it. In the configuration also we have. In the configuration also we have, if you switch to the classic, if you go to the account, in the account record, you have a one option which is called as a merge accounts. The tool which is available, merge account. By using this also you can merge it. So let's assume that I have a different accounts. Let me duplicate this. Now I have a multiple account records. Let's say okay, so for example, let's say I want to merge the console 1 and console 2. Let's say, or else I'll just modify this. Save. @gmail.com. Click on save. Similarly, I wanted to update the other one. Okay. Assume that I wanted to merge both the consoles. Whatever the consoles we have, I wanted to merge it. So what I can do is, let's refresh this part. Now I can mention here console 1, find the accounts. Right? So I have these many accounts. If I say just console, it is going to find me the more accounts. It is going to find me the more accounts. For example, from this, I wanted to merge these two records. I want to merge these two records. Select these two records and click on the next button. Now, when I click on the next button, it is going to ask us that what is the major information do you want to take it? Like master record is console 1. do you want to change the master record? That means one is a target, one is a source. So master record selected with the read only hidden values. So master means all these records will be pushed to here. Right. So for example, if you want to take console 2 instead of a console 1, I wanted to place this as a console 2. And master record is console 1, use the console 2 and some security, all this information is fine. And click on the merge. If you click on the merge, what will happen? Let me show you that. So if I click on a merge, it says that these records will be merged into one record using the selected values. Merge cannot be undone. Please proceed. So if you are sure that you wanted to merge the records, because what will happen here is, now let's click on all customer. Now I cannot see the console 1. There is another one record which says console 1. I cannot see that record. Where is that record? That record is in the recycle bin. That means it deletes the one record. It deletes one record and then it merges the other information into this one. It merges the other information into this. For example, if I have a child records, how it is? Now, if I have a child records, let's assume that I'm going to create a child record. Now, I'm going to use the console 3 and console 4. Now let's assume that I have a child record in the console 3. Let's say contacts, create a new contact. Now this is console 3 contact. Okay, the rest all information is not needed. Let's click on save. This is on the console 3. I have a one contact. Similarly, on the console 4, I'm going to create another contact. Let's say that this is the console 4, contact 1. Click on save, save and new. And another one is contact 2. So basically on the console 4, I have a two contacts. Now what are those two contacts? Contact 1 and contact 2. Now I'm going to merge. These two records, console 3 and console 4. Click on this merge accounts and find the accounts. I need to enter here, console, find accounts. I wanted to merge console 3 and console 4. Click on the next button. Now these are the console 3 and console 4. Whatever this side records are there, whatever this one is there, it is pushed into here. It is pushed into here and it will be deleted the console 4. It will be deleted the console 4. Now console 3, this is fine. Click on the merge. If I go to the all customer, I can see console 3, right? So where is the console 4? Console 4 is in the recycle bin. It's in the recycle bin. Now here if I see how many contacts I have, 3 contacts. Because whatever the source contacts related list is there, everything gets pushed into the target record. Whether it is a main record, whether it is a related record, everything is get pushed into the targeted record. So similarly, if you want to update using the Apex, in the Apex, let's say here I have an account. Now this time I wanted to merge 2 records. Let's say 3 and 5 records, I wanted to merge it. 3 and 5 records and I have to merge it. Now, if I wanted to merge 3 and 5 records, I need to identify which one is a console 3 and console 3. Let's assume that console 3 is a target and console 5 is a source. I'll copy this ID of the console 3. Let's go to the developer console. Now let me create a new method. Let's say here public static void merge account. Merge accounts. Now account, let's say target account. Target account equal to select ID comma name from account, where ID equal to whatever the 18-digit ID is there. I'm going to pass this 18-digit ID. Now similarly, I'm going to collect the source. So this is the target and this is the source. For the source, I'm going to capture this is the ID. Now two SQL queries gets executed. Now here I'm going to say that if target account is not equal to null and source account is not equal to null, then I'm going to merge what is the target account. This is the target account, and similarly I have a source account. Now let's save this. And so we have a two things, target account, source account. So simply I'm going to execute this, which is nothing but the source account, whatever the account 5, console 5 is there, that should be merged to the console 3. DML helper dot merge accounts. Now let's execute this, execute the highlighted one. Debug. No, we do not have a debug. Now let's see the governor limits. 2 SQL queries are executed out of 100 rows. 2 rows are out of 50,000. DML statement, 1 DML statement. How many rows? 1 DML rows. Now if I click on refresh of the console 5, it says that the record is deleted. Where is the console 5? Console 5 is sits into the recycle bin. And then console 3 is merged with the console 5. It is merged with the console 5. So that's about the merge statement. Using the Apex, you can perform it. Now let's say use case is write an Apex program to merge 2 opportunity records and note down the observation, what are the observations are there. Similarly, write an Apex program to merge 2 lead records and note down the observations. Now take a homework. Okay, so let's move on. Now next one is DML drawbacks. Now we have seen the DML insert, update, right? Upsert, delete, undelete, all the DML options we have seen. But using the DML, there are few drawbacks are there. The first one is whenever you are performing the DML operation, there are few issues which you can see. The first one is, let's assume that DML statement, for example, you are executing it, you are updating the 10 records, 1 to 10 records. Whenever you are updating the 1 to 10 records, assume that the 5th record is having the problem. Now, if the 5th record is having the problem, if you are inserting or updating using the DML, what will happen? The entire things gets rolled back. When I say roll back, 1 to 4, whatever is updated the records, that is also will be removed. That means none of the records get updated or none of the record gets inserted. So even single record is failed, everything gets failed. Everything gets failed. So basically DML statements are purely automatic. So whenever you are performing the DML operation on the collection record, if any one of the record is fails, then it will roll back all the transaction, the entire transaction. So rollback is nothing but nobody will be committed. So no record gets committed, no record gets updated, everything will be failed. And DML statements will not provide any partial processing, like 1 to 4. Okay, these are good records, so go ahead and update. 5th record is a bad record, so do not update. That kind of a concept is not there with the DML. So that is the problem with the DML. So DML statements, there is no tracking information. There is no tracking information to track the each operation. We need to go through the each record in case if you wanted to track it. But entirely, we do not have a tracking system to track the DML statements. So in order to avoid these drawbacks, Salesforce has provided the database class method. Database class method. And these database class methods are, database classes provides a various method. This is the class. In this class, we have a different methods. The methods are insert, update. So database is a class. Database is a class. And then after the class, we have a whatever the after dot is there. These are the methods. These are the methods. So database class has a different methods like a insert method, update method, delete, undelete, upsert, merge, empty, recycle, bin. These are the different methods which are available inside the database class. So the maximum number of rows that can be inserted or updated or deleted in the single synchronous Apex test execution is the limit is 4,50,000. 4,50,000. That means in the Apex class, you can have 45 methods. 45 methods in the sense, whatever these database class methods are there in single transaction, you can write a 45 these methods. 45 database.insert, database.update, database.delete, database.undelete. These all things can be written 45. That means each record, each row, insert record can insert the 10,000. So if you have written the 45 methods, so each method has to be executed 10,000. If you have a written single method, then single method the total limit is 4,50,000. The single method is 4,50,000. Take a notes of it. Then we will see the insert method. Okay, so let's move. Now let's move. First one is a insert method. Insert method. So by using this method, we can insert the collection of records. We can insert the collection of records. That means the syntax is database.insert. Database.insert is always have a collection. Always have a collection. There are two parameters. One is you need to pass the which collection records you wanted to insert it. The second one is a boolean. Do you want to update all the records or do you want it to similar like a DML operation? Like in the DML operation, if 1 to 10 records are there, if 8th record is not good, it has have a problem. Now, do you want it to, if any one record is having a problem, none of the records should be updated or none of the records should be inserted. Do you want that kind of a option, or do you want process everything, whichever record is having a problem, just exclude that particular record and execute rest of the whatever the good records are there, execute all those records. Now in this boolean all or nothing, there are option is true or false. True is nothing, but it will maintain the transaction. It will work similar to the DML statement. Whatever the DML statement we have it, similar to that, it works like if one of the record is failed, everything gets failed. Now if you specify here false, that means partially it will execute it. So if one record is failed, then it will avoid that one record and rest of the records it will try to process if you specify the false. Now let's say here. Now similarly, whatever the database insert is there. For example, let's assume that we have a scenario is, let's go to the switch to the lightning. Now the scenario is I wanted to insert, let's take a custom object. Let's say hiring manager record. I wanted to insert the hiring manager record. Maybe 5 records I wanted to insert. When I am inserting the records, whatever by using the database.insert, by using the database.insert, I am inserting the 5 records. Now, whatever I am inserting the records. Now here I have used the database.insert. Database.insert. So by using this database.insert, I'm inserting the record. But this data, whatever the records that I have inserted, if I wanted to store this data, that means tracking. How many records has been inserted? If you wanted to track it by using the database.insert, then we have a separate method which is called as a Database.SaveResult. 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 So you can store all the information in the Database.SaveResult. SaveResult is a method. In this method, we can store the result of the record, whether it is a insert, right? So whatever the record you are inserting it, if you wanted to store that data, you can store it into the Database.SaveResult. So each Database.SaveResult method can store either one record or more than one record. Right, that means database.SaveResult stores the array. It stores the array information. So it is basically, it's an array. It is an array, it stores either one record or it could be a multiple records. So the example is database.SaveResult array. Then you need to specify the object name equal to database.insert collection object name, and then you can specify the boolean all or nothing. Now let's go ahead and implement this. Let's take another. This is the database helper. So file, new Apex class. database helper. Now in the database helper, what we are going to do is we are going to insert description, insert 5 new hiring manager records. Hiring manager records. Now, let's say here I'm going to use the normal for loop integer. Let's say counter equal to 1. Now counter condition is less than or equal to 5. And then I'm going to increment the counter plus plus. Now within this, I'm going to say hiring manager underscore C. Let's say HR equal to new hiring manager. Now, what are the records which are mandatory in the hiring manager? Let's see. Click on the fields that are mandatory in the hiring manager is manager, name, contact number, email address, current CTC. These are the mandatory fields. Now let's say here I'm going to give HR.name equal to, let's say Apex HR, and just to differentiate, I'm going to add the counter because all the record, otherwise what will happen, all the 5 records will be stored with Apex HR. So that's the reason I'm adding here counter. The next one is HR.contact number. Let's say I'm going to say okay, so this is the some number I'm giving it, and the HR dot, let's say location equal to, let's say Hyderabad. HR dot, what else we have, designation equal to HR manager. And then finally we have a HR dot email equal to, let's say Samskar IT. Samskar IT @gmail.com. gmail.com. Now finally all this data I'm going to add it into the, is there anything wrong here in the for loop? Integer counter equal to 1. Okay, so what is the wrong here?
We have not declared the method.
Yes, we have not declared the method. So it should be public static void, let's say create HR records. No. Fine. Let's save this. Okay, so now we have a for loop. Inside this for loop, what I'll be doing is, let's add this all these HR records into the one list. List of hiring manager. Now let's say here HR list equal to new list of hiring manager. Now whatever this HR list is there, HR list dot add whatever these HR records are there, all the HR records, I'm going to add it into the list. Now finally, what we used to do for after this, we used to do the insert, right? So like insert HR list. This is what we used to do. Instead of doing the insert HR list, now what we are going to implement is using the database class. Using the database class. In order to do the database class, we are going to use the database class. For this database class, database.insert, and then I'm going to pass the whatever this HR list is there. This HR list I'll be passing here. HR list I will be passing here. Now this HR list is the one. If I say here second parameter is a false. Second parameter is a false. Now if the second parameter is a false, that means what will happen if I specify the false? If I specify the false, what will happen?
It will allow the partial processing.
It will allow the partial processing. If I say true, whatever the DML operation is there, normal DML operation, that's exactly it is going to follow. Now here, I have all the data here. I have all the data. Whatever the new hiring manager is required, all the information we are passing it. Let's suppose I'm going to say here email address. Do not insert it for one of the record. Do not insert for the one of the record. So that means I'll say here whatever this counter is there. So counter, if counter is equal to 3. Let's say counter equal to 3. Or let's say counter is not equal to 3. That means allow this email ID for everybody. Allow this email ID for everybody except the 3. Except the 3. So we have a 5 records. We are creating the total 5 records. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records. Now what is this condition I am specifying here? Condition is if counter is not equal to 3. If the counter is not equal to 3, then create it. That means whatever this email address is there, this email address should be created for the first record. Email address should be created for the second record. Email address should be created for the fourth record. Email address should be created for the fifth record, but not for the third record. Not for the third record. So what will happen? Here it is going to break the code because email address is mandatory. In hiring manager, if I have to create a hiring manager record, email address is mandatory. Now, if I do not pass the email ID for one of the record, then what will happen? It is going to give me the error. Now, by default, it will take a true. If I do not specify the true here, true or a false, the second parameter, if I do not provide, by default, it is going to take it as a true. Now, let me show you that. Now, whatever this data is there, this data I'm going to store it into the save result, database.SaveResult. Database.SaveResult, let's say here object name is save result equal to. Save result equal to the data I'm storing into the whatever we are inserting it, the data gets stored into the save result. The data gets stored into the save result. Now, database, click on save. Okay, so just let's add the information here. If HR result dot, if it is a size is greater than 0. If this size is greater than 0, then only go for a database.SaveResult. Then only go for database.SaveResult. Click on save. Click on save. Now let's say here I'm going to execute this. What will happen if I try to execute this? Will it process the records or will it not process the records? Now total I have, in the hiring manager, I have a 15 records. Now what will happen if I try to process this method? Will I receive an error or will it be processed successfully?
You will receive an error. No?
Error. Why we receive an error?
Here, it is taking true.
Right, so here the second parameter which we have is, we have not provided the second parameter. If you do not provide the second parameter, by default it will take the true. True is nothing but it behaves similar to the DML operation. Now let's try to execute this. Now what it is saying that current CTC is mandatory. Okay, let me add the current CTC. HR dot current CTC equal to, let's say I'm going to add here 10,000. Now click on the save. Now debug, execute the highlighted one. And what is happening here? Row 2 required field is missing. For which record it is missing? For third record it is missing. But did it create a 1, 2, and 4, 5 records? It did not create any records. The previous records we have a 15 items. Right now also we have a 15 items. Right now also we have a 15 items. So basically it will behave as a normal DML. So now if I specify here false, now what will happen? It will execute it. It will execute it. Now it will execute and it will not throw an error. But only the thing is that how many records it will execute? 1, 2, 4, 5. Total 4 records it gets executed. That means the count of the hiring manager before it was a 15. 15 plus, right now we are adding the 4 records. So total 19 records it will be inserted. 19 records it will be inserted. Now in the save result, whatever the save result is there. So this save result, now I'm going to check this save result. Whatever this save result has a couple of methods. The save result will have a methods. What are those methods? First method is success. First method is success. If it is a success, then we are going to return true. That means if all the records are success, then it is going to return true. That means if the operation is successful, it will execute all the records. Otherwise, it will give the false. Now, whenever it is false, right, or whenever it is a true, I wanted to get the ID. So if it is a true, I wanted to know what are the records, what are the records that gets inserted. I wanted to get the record IDs. So you can get the record IDs here. Otherwise, what you can do, if there are any error, if it is a false, if there are any error, then we have to get the errors. We have to get the errors. So it will return the error. Now these are the 3 methods which are there. Now let me show you those methods. Now let's say here, if whatever the save result is there, right? If the save result, I'm going to loop through this save result for loop of this database.SaveResult. Database.SaveResult, result colon. Whatever the save result is there, I'm going to copy that save result. Now here I'll be taking it as a if. Each record I'm going to check if result dot is success. If success is a method for the save result. If it is a result is a success, then I wanted to capture system.debug Then I'll say that successfully created. Successfully inserted the records. Successfully inserted the records plus, now here I'm going to say result dot get ID. Result dot get ID. Whatever this result dot get ID is there, we are going to get the result dot ID. Else, if it is a error, then I'm going to capture the else condition. In the else condition, that means it's a failure. When we have a failure, when we have a records are failed, how many records possible that there is a possibility that one record is failed or possibility that multiple records got failed. So whenever the records got failed, I wanted to get all the record information that got failed, right? So I can loop through the each one of them. So database.error, whatever the errors are there. Let's say here object name is, the variable name is errors. So result dot get error. Now if it is an error, then I'm going to get the details of the system.debug. I can say here error status plus whatever this error information is there. So these are the single record error dot. We can get information of like a get status code. I wanted to know the code of it. What is the status code? Plus, also I wanted to know what is the, because of which field it is getting error. Because of which field it is getting error. Error dot get field. Get fields. Now, these are the information. Now let's click on the save. It says that database.error result get error. It's not an error, it's a errors. Now let's save the record.
Ma'am, in for loop, the database spelling is wrong.
In the for loop database.error.
You written DAA.
Okay, so it should be database. Let's click on save. Now record has been saved. Now what is happening? Now let's go to the paint. Now we have a database.insert. So this is the database.insert. Now inside this insert, we are passing the two parameters. One is the object name. Whatever the collection of object name is there, the collection of object name, we are passing the information and then we'll say here false. And whatever this output of this information is there, whatever the output of this information, those output of the data, I'm going to store it into the another method which is called as a database.SaveResult. Database.SaveResult. We are storing into the database.SaveResult. Now, save result is a array. Save result is array. So whatever the data we are storing it here. Now it is divided into the two. Save result is going to store the error information. Save result is going to store the successful information. It is going to store both the information. Now, if it is a successful, then it is going to store the information in the, let's say here, we are going to store the information. So this is if it is a successful, if it is success. If it is a successful, what we can do is, now here I have a collection of information. In this collection of information, I'm looping through the each record. I'm looping through the each record. Now we are looping through the each record. When we are looping through the each record, this is a success and the other one is false. False in a sense, if there are any error. False is there any error? Now if it is a successful, what I can get the, whatever the record is there, the result. Assume that the name of this is a result. Now, this result, whatever the result is there, the result dot we will try to get the, what are the records that are inserted. So that means we are going to get the IDs. If it is an error, then again I need to loop through the each record, right? So here I'm looping through the each record and getting the result. If it is successful, if it is an error, all the errors are stored inside the result dot get error. Result dot, whatever the result is there, dot get errors. And this is also an array. This is also an array and method. Now this result dot get errors, again we need to loop through the each record. And once we loop through the each record, now whatever the errors are there. Now here, instead of the condition, it has to be a loop. So I'm going to loop through the each records. So when I'm looping through the each records, then we are going to print the values of what is the status code, whether it is a 200 or whether it is a other information, what is the data. Along with that, we can also get few more information like what is the field that is missing. What is the field that is missing? Like you can also get error dot get fields. Get fields. Get the fields information because of which field it is giving the error. Also, you can specify error dot get status code. What is the status code? Status code. So this is how the structure for the database.SaveResult. Now let's go ahead and execute this. Debug. Execute the create HR records. Now let's say execute the highlighted one. Debug. So the one which is having the error is a third record. First record is successful, second record is successful, third record is having the problem, fourth is successful, fifth is successful. What is the fourth one? It says that error status is required field is missing, and this is the email address. This is the email address, the field details. So those field details it is going to provide it. Now if you see here, total 19 records will be there. Total 19 records will be there. So we have a total 19 records. Now error is the one which we have already seen the error. So in the error, you can go through the get message, get status code, get fields, the one which we have already seen. Status code is basically it will tell you that which one, what is the exact error, whether it is a mixed DML operation, whether it is a required field is missing. So it will give you the some information of the code. And fields is it is going to provide you the exact field, what is the error. And the next one is a database class. Homework, take a homework, write an Apex program to insert a 10 candidate records inside the object using the database.class method and allow the partial processing. If it is a 10 records, let's say that 9th record should be filled. 9th record should be failed and rest of the record should be processed. And you need to have a tracking mechanism. If it is a successful, what are the records that got successful? If it is a failure, which one is a failure and what is the status code? What is the status code that it got failed? So those all information you need to capture the details. Now that is the database class. Take a homework. Now, let's move on. The syntax for the other methods. Similar to the database.insert, we have other things like a database.update. If it is a database.update, same thing, instead of insert, you need to pass the update and then store those records into the save result. Instead of insert, you need to use the update. Similarly, if I have a delete method, so delete also delete collection of object and then second parameter is boolean. Save the result into the delete result. For the insert and update, you need to store it into the save result. You need to store it into the save result. If it is a delete, you need to store it into the delete result. Delete result. If it is a undelete, if it is a undelete, then we have to store it inside the undelete result. You have to store it inside the undelete result. If it is a upsert, so database.upsert, store it into the upsert result. Upsert result. If it is a merge, store it into the merge result. Only for the insert and update, we are going to store the data inside the save result. If it is a delete result. If it is a undelete result. If it is a upsert result. If it is a merge result. Take a notes of it. Undelete similar to the same as the one which we have seen already. So undelete is whatever the data is available inside the recycle bin. For example, you by mistakenly deleted it. Now you wanted to undelete. So it's not a one record. You have deleted some hundreds of records. So all it's single point you wanted to do the undelete. That means get the data from the recycle bin and then put back into the object. So once you put back into the object, how can we do it using the undelete? Mostly in the real time, in the Apex code, we will not do the undelete. In the Apex code, we don't do the undelete. If you have to do manually, like executing from the anonymous window, somebody has deleted 100 records all of a sudden. Now you wanted to get back all the deleted records or all the deleted, the one which are there in the recycle bin, you wanted to push back to the object. So at single point you wanted to do, instead of going to each record and doing the undelete. So what you can do is database.undelete, you can restore the data from the recycle bin to the object. Clear? The data will be reverted. But so whatever we have done it here, right? So let's assume that we have done the merge record. Now we have done the recycle bin, the merge record is there, right? So this merge, if I undelete it, now similar to the same concept of undelete. If I undelete, what will happen? Will it undelete? It will undelete, but it will not restore the related records. If you remember, the console 4 was having the contacts. Now if you go to the contact 3, so let's go to the console 3. In the console 3, okay, in the console 3, there are related records. In the related records, what are those? One is a contact. What are the console 3 contact is the console 3 contact, and then 2 records which are merged with the console 3. Now, if I undelete the console 4, the record gets undeleted. That means the record gets restored into the object, but it will not restore the related records. It will not restore the related records. What are the related records? Are there still with the console 3? Still with console 3, it will not go back to the console 4. So console 3, we have these records, but you can see that there is a undeleted the console 4, the same concept. Now let's move on. Next one is the empty recycle bin. Now there are one concept which is called as a soft delete and hard delete. Soft delete and hard delete. Soft delete is nothing but once we delete the record, once we delete the record gets stored into the recycle bin. The record stored into the recycle bin, which is called as a soft delete, which is called as a soft delete. Hard delete is nothing but if I delete any record, it should be deleted even from the recycle bin. It should be deleted even from the recycle bin. Now let's say here console 4. Now I'm going to use this. Now usually let's go to the developer console. Account ACC equal to select ID from account, where ID equal to, this is the ID which I'm passing it. Now if I execute this, this is the which record, console 4 record. Now if I delete it, what will happen if I click on, if I write a delete ACC? If I say delete ACC, what will happen? It will be deleted, but it will be stored into the recycle bin. Now that is called as a soft delete. That is called as a soft delete. Hard delete is nothing but if I delete any record, it should not be even available. It should not be there in the recycle bin. That means it should be deleted from the object as well as it should be deleted from the recycle bin. In that case, what we will do is we will use the Database.Empty recycle bin. And then we are going to pass which record you wanted to go for a hard delete. That means which record you wanted to delete it. Now I'm going to delete this, right? Account ACC equal to whatever the select ID from the account, and this is the ID, right? So I'm deleting it as well as I'm deleting from the recycle bin. Click on execute. It is executed. Now if I refresh it, the record is deleted from the object. Now it says that there is a problem, and even I cannot see in the recycle bin. Even I cannot see in the recycle bin, which is called as a hard delete. Which is called as a hard delete. The one, whatever the data we are deleting it, delete it permanently. It should not be available in the recycle bin. So in that case, we use the Database.EmptyRecycleBin. Take a homework, create a Apex program to update a record in the account object. Phone industry rating. You need to update the record in the account object, which is a phone industry and the rating. Create a new record in the account object. This is first one. And then perform the above two operation using the database class. Do not use the DML operation, use the database class. And then do the partial execution, track all the IDs. Track all the IDs. Take a homework. Any questions? DML database. Take a notes of it. So let's move on. Is it done?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, that is the last inserted. Whatever the record is inserted. No, not the last insert record ID. So basically, whatever the record you are inserting it. So those records you are storing into the save result, right? So you need to loop through the save result. Loop through the save result and then get the IDs of each record. Now, for example, you are inserting the 5 records. Out of 5 records, 4 records are inserted, 1 record is failed. Now you wanted to know what are those 4 records. So get the each record, first record ID, second record ID, third record ID, fourth record ID. So get each record ID. So in order to get that, you can use the get ID in the save result. Okay, so taking the notes. So let's move on. So what is the different database class methods in Salesforce? What are the different database class methods?
Database insert, database update, delete, undelete, database upsert,
Right? And
database merge,
we write. Last one is
uh, database empty recycle.
empty recycle bin. Those are the methods which are available in the database class. Now, where can we see the output of the database methods? If it is the insert method, where can we see the output if I wanted to track it? Database.insert, and I need to store the output of the database insert into the another method. Which method I can store?
Save results.
Save result. If it is a delete, database.delete,
Delete result.
delete result. Now, if there are any errors, where can we store the error details in the database method?
Get errors.
Get errors. Now, what is the differences between the database.insert? The second parameter is true, and the database.insert, the second parameter is false. What is the difference between these two?
If it is true, we will get the error.
Right.
And
So if it is
false, the partial process will happen.
Yeah. False is partial execution. True is if one record is failed, everything should be rolled back, similar to the DML. And I have provided the trial head links. So that's all for today.